Hey guys, Coach Steve and I got a couple questions after this past Saturday's practice about our offense and what we're going to do with it, and specifically what's going to happen within our host stack. So we thought it would be best to make a video where I can just sort of walk you guys through it, and you can watch it at your leisure and ask questions about it. So let's start right off the bat with a straight side force. All right, here we have our host stack. The other team is forcing this direction, and our offense is going up the whiteboard. We see first off that our reset to the force side is 45 degrees and behind the mark. We'll talk about both resets in a second. We're just going to talk about the cutters first. The object of this offense is to really clear out space in the lane immediately in front of the thrower. So there's our throwing lane. We want all people to get open in this space. We also want them to be able to cut to this break side space as well. All right, but this is our primary spot. I feel like a weatherman. With that in mind, we really want to clear out this space so that people on the break side can cut into it. Our cutter here then needs to get out of the way as quickly as possible because he's already in that lane, right? So we need him to get out of the way so that lane's open for new cutters. At the same time, we want him to remain dangerous. So we're going to make him cut in and across to the break side. That loopy break throw is a staple of most host stack offenses. And it makes the defender respect him right away. They have to clear out that space. With this cutter then getting out of the way, we have a lot of space, more than a quarter of the field on a really wide field, to get this cutter into space. So as this person is clearing out, our cutter immediately to the break side is going to start setting up his cut. Now, however you want to set up your cut is up to you. You're a professional cutter, so I'm not going to tell you exactly the best way to do that. I will say that taking an immediate out cut is going to make you dangerous for the thrower to throw to you. If you're not guarded, well then just keep going, and whoever this is going to put it to you. If they turn their hips and commit to you, you can come right back under and have all this space to work with. So let's see what that looks like. So here we've got our cutter immediately in front of the disc, clearing out. They're already on their way as the cutter immediately to the break side takes off deep. They're in a great position to catch a huck because if the huck is blady, they can make an adjustment to it. If the huck comes flat up into this space, they can easily make the adjustment and run onto it. By making a cut straight out from the break side, they can really adjust to any sort of huck that's not a short huck. Also, if they get their guy on their heels, they can come back into this space. They have tons of space. So here we can see all this space cleared out with this cutter coming across. He really has just a ton of space. He can even flare a little bit off to the break side and catch a little cheeky IO. And if he clears out, he can be dangerous, just as this player is as he clears out. It's very important for this player to remain dangerous so that the defender doesn't stay there. So he has to be constantly looking for the disc. Another thing about this player is he needs to run all the way to the sideline. He can't come back into this space. He's going to cut off this cut, or he's going to cut off the next cut coming from the break side. All the cuts in this offense are going to come from the break side, or they're going to be thrown to the break side when you're clearing out. All the clears are going to go to the break side. All the cuts are going to come from the break side and attack the force side. So here, as this person is clearing out, this person is making their in cut. We have the person all the way on the far break sideline starting to come into this space to set up their cut. Either if this person clears out fast, they can attack this same space, or if this person gets the disc, they can continue deep or come back in afterwards. They have a great setup for a continue cut. So what we end up having is a cycle. The person over here in the force side lane is constantly clearing out. We have the person immediately to the break side making either, and forgive me for this sloppy cut that I drew, making either an in cut or an out cut. Either way, if they don't get the disc, they're clearing out to the break side, all the way to the sideline. And this person on the far sideline is going to push so that they are the next cut. It's also possible for this cutter over here to take a deep cut if they're just being ignored, as long as the cut is from the break side. Again, the biggest principles here are, if you haven't gotten the disc on the force side, clear out to the break side. If you're in the force side lane at all and you haven't gotten the disc and you're not about to, get out of the way, because somebody on the break side is about to make a cut into your space. It's about clearing out and creating space for other people. Now, of course, we do have one other bro, this guy on the force sideline. He is sort of just hanging pat. He is far enough out of the play. He's really sticking to the sideline, because if he's to the sideline, we still have all that good space to work with. If he finds that his defender starts cheating a little bit, he needs to figure out a way to get out. The best way probably to get out at first is, or at least enough for the defender to respect him, is to just push up field just enough that they feel like they need to follow you. You're not going to be able to clear all the way across the field in an instant. If you can, then you do. You want to, if you're going to clear, you always want to try to clear to the break side if at all possible. But for right now, he's just hanging out here. He will be involved in the offense once the disc gets swung to the sideline and he has the opportunity to clear, which we'll talk about right now. Alright, we've worked the disc and it's ended up stuck on the force sideline. Now, our same system still holds true. This cutter now is in this lane, which is our new lane. So he's going to need to clear out to the break side, and it's the nearest person to the break side is going to make the cut. So again, that's going to be this person, and we're just going to have these guys pushing over to fill in the cycle. So again, just a cycle, always clearing out to the break side, always cutting from the break side into the force side. So here we have this player cutting to the break side and remaining dangerous so that his defender pays attention to him, or so that the handler here can throw it into space to him and jumpstart the offense by getting it swung over to the break side. We have this player cutting straight out so that he gives a good throwing lane for his thrower to put a good huck into space, one that he'll be able to adjust to easily, and a sharp enough cut that his defender is going to have to adjust to it. If he can't get his defender to turn his hips, he's going to clear out to the break side. If he can, he's going to bust back into the space and attack the force side. Meanwhile, we have our two people on the far break side pushing over to start filling. Now, at any point, these players can go deep. If they're being ignored and they feel like they have space to do it, go deep. You're going to want to try to get to the middle of the field as quickly as possible and then go deep. So again, this person has a good target to throw to. If they throw a bladey huck, you have room to adjust to it. If they throw a floaty huck to space, you can run on to it. So there's an exception to every rule, and our exception here is when the disc is all the way on the far sideline, the opposite of where they're trapping. So if they are all the way on this sideline and they're still forcing this direction, the way that we're going to move the disc is we're going to try to attack this space with the handler by clearing him up. If he gets the disc in this space, he's in a good power position and doesn't have that straight up mark on them for a second or two. Gives us a good opportunity to take a shot. And if not, we have all this space out of the space that the handler cleared out. So let me walk you through that. So once the disc gets tapped in, right away a couple things are going to happen. First off, we want this handler to get the disc upline if at all possible. That's our primary option. So we need to clear out a little bit of that space for him. We always say clear out to the break side and cut from the force side. This is going to be the one chance or the one time that we're going to do the opposite, because we're going to try to attack the break side first. So we actually want to clear out the break side. We're going to do that by having the person not quite right in front of the disc push up and all the way closer to the far force side. It's going to sort of seem like they're not doing anything too dangerous at first, but we'll get back to them in a second. They're going to push upfield and to the far force side. This person on right in front of the disc is going to move into the space that they occupied, and that is going to give us a nice lane for our handler to go upline. Alright, so here is our handler that's gone upline. Here's the person that was right in front of the disc, has moved over, and here's the person that was previously sort of in the lane a little bit, has come up into this space over here. Now, the number one option, the number one goal is for us to get it to this handler, because they're not going to have a mark on them for a second. What that means is he's going to be able to get it in a hucking position, when the defense is not expecting a huck because they're a straight up mark. So because of that, this player that has just sort of made a cut that sort of doesn't make a lot of sense has a great cut into this space, which is where the huck will be coming to. So here's what the movement looks like. We have this handler going up line after this guy clears out. This guy clears out for this guy to clear out. Also, he sets himself up for when this handler gets the disc up line. He just basically turns page and takes off deep for that big backhand hucker for all you lefties, that flick huck. In the meantime, this whole entire middle of the field has been entirely cleared out. We've got a handler all the way over here, but we also have 1, 2, 3 cutters. You can't really see him because of the glare. 3 cutters that are, if you rotate the field, hey, look at that. They are in a vertical stack for our handler. So basically, the handler is now being forced a direction, and he just needs to throw any sort of light break into this area. And we have the disc in the middle of the field. So what we're going to want is we're going to want one of these 3 cutters, probably this one because he doesn't have so far to go, but does have a pretty decent amount of distance. Hopefully his defender's a little bit asleep because he was far away from the play. And he's going to cut into this space. So now looking at it as a hoe stack again, this player here is making a cut that is not a very difficult throw for this player. We're going to be able to center the disc, and because he is moving horizontally across the field, his mark is going to have a second where he's going to not be able to move the disc or jump in the way of wherever our cutter wants to move the disc. So we have basically a second or two for a little bit of a free throw, whether that's a huck, whether that's just sort of a dish to one of these 2 guys, whatever it is, it sort of doesn't matter. We've moved past the defense for a second, and they're on their heels. We're changing the angles for them. So first option, again, it's going to be a handler going up line, looking for that huck, or whatever continue cut he can get without that straight up mark on. Or once that's cleared out, instead of having a handler fill in, we're going to have a cutter from downfield make a cut into this space, which shouldn't be too tough of a throw for this guy, because when you look at it like this, it kind of looks like that vertical stack, just making a basic in cut. So the basic principles of our hoe stack are we're going to clear out from the force side lane if we don't get the disc as fast as we possibly can all the way to the break side. The cuts are going to come from the break side over into that force side lane. That's the basic cutting principle. If we do get it all the way to that sideline that we sort of see a more straight up mark when they're forcing a direction, we're going to try to hit that up line for a second. Otherwise, we're going to center it with one of the cutters. So pretty basic stuff, nothing too crazy. And that's if we are being forced either forced a direction. We're either being forced backhand or flick. Now, Steve has a particularly devastating split stack play that you'll see in the plays video. If a team, especially, it works whether there's a side or anything. It's a great pool play or a play off of a brick, or really a play anytime if we can run it. And again, it's out of a split stack. However, if they go straight up or a force middle or a straight up mark midway through a point, or if we haven't had a chance to adjust to it and get into a split stack in a hurry, I'll show you a quick way that we can get the disc moving at least. Once the disc is moving against a straight up mark, the defense is really in trouble once you complete a couple passes in a row. Especially they have to start worrying about outcuts because the handlers have gotten it into power position without a mark, so they can't just sit on underneath cuts anymore. And whenever that's the case, they give away underneath. And you can move the disc, both sides are the break side, defenders are really off balance. So a straight up mark, the biggest challenge is really getting the first couple continuation throws in a row. So here's a way that we can try to beat that. First off, you'll see that this handler has assumed that we're being forced flick. We'll just do that for right now. What we're really going to decide is this player is going to call out which side he would like to prefer, or which side he would prefer as the live side, the side that we're going to really attack. He's going to split the field straight in half, and he's going to read it left to right. All right, so Over here, this is 1. Over here, this is 2. So really basic. If he says any number ending in a 1, 11, 21, 1, 41, any number ending in a 1, it's going to be this side as the live side. If he says any number ending in a 2, 22, 82, 12, it's going to be this as the live side. And we're going to attack this side of the field. So let's imagine that it is, he said 42. We're attacking this side of the field. We need to clear out a lot of space here. We need to get this handler sort of out of the way. We need to get both of these guys out of the way. So the way that we're going to go about doing that is this handler is going to really drop back even more than usual, really 45 degree and back, and these players are going to get in motion right away. So the nice thing about this little set is you get a lot of options in a real hurry if everybody goes right away. And in the AUDL, you don't have to freeze, so you can be going before the disc is tapped in. If there's been a call, it doesn't really matter. This cutter is going to make our same familiar cut as trying to clear out this space. So he's going to sort of make an in cut, but mostly his goal is to get over here to the break side. He's much more dangerous than usual though, because of this straight up mark. This little flip to space is, you can do that, this handler can do that in his sleep. Again, we've moved this handler a little bit further back and way out of this lane. We also have this handler really taking off, going deep. So the first thing is, this handler is going to, or this cutter is going to take off deep. This handler is going to try to really get this mark, whose back is to the field, to move just a little bit this direction. Now, he can do that by faking throws here, just little throws, just to get him a little bit off balance, little shoulder shimmies. The hope here is that he can move him enough to either flip it into this space, or this will be great for lefty flicks. In this case, basically whoever's got the flick, because it's such a quick release on a huck. He can also bomb it deep to this guy. So this player is a threat. This player is a threat. If either of those options are open and this person feels comfortable with the throw, great. If not, and that's going to be more often than not, we're going to attack this entire half of the field with this cutter all the way over here. This defender is often going to be off balance or at least off balance of coming all the way over here and having to guard, because there's a straight up mark and there's two players in the way. These two players are gone really quickly, and this person just has acres to really get into. So again, we've chosen to essentially let each other know through the use of a number, calling out a number, that this is the force side, the side that we're going to attack. We've cleared it out with a sort of a sweep cut and a deep cut, both which were viable options for our thrower, and put a defender who didn't think that they were on the bubble, suddenly forced to guard in one-on-one in space, a lot of space. And this can happen and should happen immediately. So this cut coming back underneath should be happening around stall 3. So it's got to be quick, especially with our quick stall counts. But this needs to happen bang, 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 bang. Otherwise, the defense is going to be able to poach. They'll sniff it out really quick. This cut, a lot of the times, doesn't even need to be set up so terribly much. He can sort of run his defender off field a little bit, and then upfield a little bit, and then come back in and attack this space. If he's being fronted, he can just literally drift out into this space. This person will be far enough cleared out that the looping throw on this big AUDL field will get completed, because there's nobody in this lane to really shut it off. So this defender is on such an island that it's going to be tough for them to make a play. We'll talk about resets in just a second in terms of what these guys are doing. So that's what happens if he calls 2. Here now drawn, what happens if he calls 1? He's decided that he really wants to attack. This handler has decided he really would like to attack this side of the field. This person is clearing out. This person is going deep. This person is a threat over here to the break side. And once that space is cleared out, we have the cut coming from our manufactured break side. Here, the handlers were set up in the opposite way as would be conducive to this play, but this guy really liked the matchup of attacking this side of the field. They need to adjust. So this handler is going to drop back into this position so he can be a good four-side reset, and this handler is going to push up level with the disc, and eventually he's going to, and we'll talk about this later, he's eventually going to push even further. So that's our hoe stack cutting. There'll be another video up about our hoe stack resets, and there will be at least one video up of some plays, some pull plays, some plays off of a dead disc. So look out for that as well. If you have any questions, of course, call myself or Steve, or you've got the old comment box below on YouTube. Discuss it with each other. It's a private YouTube video, so no one's going to see it but us. Feel free to discuss and hash out whatever you need to. All right. Thanks, guys.